Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tennesha Wood. So if you guys listened to episode 24, you'll remember that I was extremely upset at my ex who was supposed to come on and then didn't want the episode aired. Well, good news. We talked it out and he said that the episode was good to go. So this is the episode with the ex, the infamous ex. Totally kidding. We're good though. We talked it out, so we're completely fine now. So take a listen. Okay, guys, if you listen to this show, particularly since season 1, you all know how much I talked about this guy that I used to date. And I don't think I ever said his name, but his name is Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Tennesha.
How are you?
Amazing.
So the reason that I always talk about Jerry is because at one point, Jerry did break my heart. Now, the good news is we both learned a lot from that. And I think that we're both on a trajectory of self-understanding and growth. And so today, I want to talk about some of the things in our past, particularly the story that I've told on this show several times. And then I also want to hear about other lessons you've learned in dating from myself and other people. And then, where you're at in life right now and some of the, self-improvements that you're making and things you're working on. So I'm going to have to retell this story. So back in 2013 is when I met you. We met on OkCupid. And I don't exactly remember how we started chatting. So then we went out and immediately I was like, oh my God, this guy is fine. And he's tall. And you were funny and you were great conversationalists and you knew good food. And I was just like, oh my God, Jerry.
Thank
Jerry.
you. See, I'm blushing now. You never said that to me out loud though.
I have told you that.
Not
did
that
I never
way.
did I never share how great I thought you were after our first date?
To be honest, not really. I don't think I've ever heard you say it that way.
Oh.
It feels different to hear it that way.
Well, after our first date,
she was actually impressed by you, it seems.
Yeah, after our first date, I really was just like, he's tall, he's cute, he's this, he's that. Sure. We were sort of, dating on and off, it seemed like you were seeing other people. Sure. I was not really seeing people like that. I didn't know that actually. But it would appear that way.
Exactly.
It would appear that way.
I think that's the card that you were playing.
Right, but it wasn't actually that way.
Well, if that's the card she's playing, I was like, I'm way better playing this poker game here. I was like, you should be honest and straightforward.
Yeah, so I think what happened was, if I let me recollect this. Sure. So when we started dating, I guess because I liked you so much, and I was like, this guy's this, he's that I just figured you liked me in the same way and at the same intensity.
Oh, sure.
And so in my mind, I was like,
but I did though.
But hold on, let me tell my side first. It's not sides, but let me just tell how I saw it at the time, because this is important for the rest of the story.
Listen, let's go. I already know. We already know how the story goes.
I was just really enamored with you, and so then I wasn't seeing anybody else, because as soon as I went on a date with you, I was just like, oh well, this guy is better than, and it wasn't like this guy needs to be my boyfriend tomorrow, but it was like I'd rather go on a date 2 with him than a date 1 with somebody else who I don't like in that way. I felt like at the time, it seemed like you were super busy with other people all the time. I might say something like, hey, do you want to hang out on Friday? And I was sort of used to being pursued and not having to, and I was like, it feels like I'm pursuing this guy.
Yeah, but remember, I had to be conscious of your level of intensity, right?
So you felt like I was too intense?
Way too intense for me.
In what way?
Because in the way that I see your expectations and how you maneuver your own life, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm observing you properly and I can see she's like hyper detail oriented. She wants things to be done a certain type of way. Tanisha has to have her way. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I love it because it's dope to see a woman that's on that level. But it's like, if I date a woman on that level, that means she's gonna want me to be on that level with her. And I was like, I think at the moment
that level meaning like do what I say.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I think I saw like your heavy-handedness in terms of like how you approach relationships. Like it's your way or the highway. And I was like, ooh, but I'm like the kind of guy that it's my way or the highway.
But what made you think that? Like what specific
just watching
things?
your vibe. Just watching your vibe. Just watching your vibe.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because think about it this way. If I'm from New York, right? This is the melting pot for 225 countries in one place. So from my perspective, you coming from Minnesota to here.
No, I came from San Francisco to here.
I know, but you grew up in Minnesota.
Yes.
So, like, you're a Minnesota girl. You know what I mean? So to come to New York City is like, I always thought like you were very like a nice person. Mm-hmm. But you were super focused, super this, super that. I was like, she's running on 1,000. I was like, Jerry, you're a New York City project kid. You do not want to move on 1,000. You're lazy as fuck. You don't want to do anything, actually. So it's like seeing how fast you moved. I was like, okay, well, I can move at that speed, and I'm doing it for kind of like, you know, the respect of the family type of thing. That's why I went in the hedge fund industry in the first place. But it was like deep down inside, I really didn't want to go over there. I just kind of wanted to be like a natural kid. You know what I mean? So I think like it's the opposite of what I saw you were doing. You were very like
busybody,
like military style. I was like, Jared,
it's on a checklist. It must be done. Let's do it now.
Let's do it. I was like, I don't really want to do that right now. So, I want to kind of just kick my feet up a little bit and be a bum. And she's not like that. I was like, so Jerry, don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. You're not like that. She is like that.
So at that point,
try to force her to be like you, or are you just gonna let Tanisha be Tanisha and you be you?
So at that point,
yeah,
you liked me, but it was too intense for you.
Way too intense. Yeah.
Got it.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean like we didn't connect and have great conversations.
No, we did, and
yeah,
we did. And so I guess in my mind at that point, I was like, I mean, if he's gonna do him, then I'm gonna do me.
Yeah,
and then I think I made it a point to let you know that to let like
listen,
you know.
I'm not paying attention?
Yeah, so you text me or something like, what are you doing today? I'd be like, oh, I'm out with a date. Yeah. I'm busy.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're not hanging out today then because she's busy.
I should also preface, this was circa 2013, which means I was like 28, 29. So how
old was I then?
So you're 4 years older than me. So you were 30, 33, 32, 33.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I feel like then all these games started. Like I would say.
No, but I remember. So okay.
You were just living. I was playing the game.
Exactly.
Because you were really out dating.
Exactly.
I wasn't. That's the thing.
It's like, that's why I was trying to tell you. I was like, hey, listen, I'm not playing any games.
This is just your life. And
this
so
is
I thought,
my life.
Well,
you thought I was putting on a show. I was like, no. I was like, I really do live like this. I'm literally moving at 1,000 miles an hour and having fun every day.
I thought I should just be out doing me too. So then sometimes
but
I
that's
was.
What you did.
And sometimes most of the time I was just in the house, like with my roommate. Like, I'm busy.
I would have never guessed. Because think about it. How would I know it's a lie?
It was stupid.
How could I know?
It was stupid to lie about something like that. Like the whole point of it.
If you put out a vibe, that is the vibe you're trying to put out, and I bite the bait. I'm like, well, Tanisha's busy. I can't argue with that because that's what you gave me.
Right.
To overthink it is like you're doing yourself a disservice at some point.
Well, this brings me to really lesson one, and it's just be honest and communicate.
I agree.
With what I know now, at this point in life, at 35, I would really just say, hey, I'm not seeing anybody else. I would like to see you, like, at that moment. Moment. And then you could have at that point been like, yes or no. And so I didn't. And so I just was like, wow, because he's out seeing other people. I need him to know. And it was stupid. Like, why not just communicate what it is you actually want?
Be honest.
So fast forward. And this goes on, I don't know, we're sort of on periods, off periods for at least a year and a half.
Give or take. Yeah.
Give or take, but at least a year and a half. And I don't know what got me to the point where I was like, no more. Like, because there would be times where, again, we would just stop talking and then somebody would hit the other up and then, but I was just like, no more. And I was like, if he really likes me, like,
he'll make a move.
And like,
that's it.
And that's that. And so, but that didn't happen.
Sure.
Finally, I decided that this was it. I was going to lay it all on the line and just tell you exactly how I felt. So I remember it was a Friday and I had half day Fridays at work. And so I got all ready and just, I was wearing this gray long dress with a slit from the Gap. My hair was down. This is when I still like would like flat iron my hair like every day. Don't damage your hair. And I was wearing red lipstick and I was just like, okay, I look good.
You looked amazing.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Don't think I forgot.
Oh, okay.
I was paying attention, my dear. I know.
So then
I was like, oh, Jay, she got something to say to you today. I was like, this ain't some regular lunch.
But remember, She's
got her fucking intention set. Tanisha's going on 1,000 level and like, you're going to be pulled into this thing real quick because she's not having it be on the fence. She's not having it.
But listen, do you remember how before I just was like, Jerry, I'd like to have lunch on Friday.
Yeah. Oh.
And with no context, just nothing. Like a very serious.
I already knew
from that text.
I already knew you had something to get off your chest.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be a fucking tough one, Jay. Like, just buckle up.
So then
buckle up.
We go to this restaurant. Is it, what's that?
Westville.
Westville.
Yeah, it's right across from my office.
We go to Westville because it was
yeah.
right across from your office because I met you there around lunchtime.
Yeah.
And I had ordered this like grilled cheese, like shredded pork bar, something I would have just really loved when I ate meat.
Sure.
And I couldn't even eat it. I couldn't eat it. I was
like, what is going on here?
And I had like a glass of rosé.
Nervous vibe to you.
Yeah, I had a glass of rosé.
And I was like, Jerry, pay attention. I was like, Tanisha never gets nervous.
Right.
So if you're nervous today, something is up.
Yeah, and I had a glass of rosé and I just kept drinking the rosé, but like couldn't eat. Like I just couldn't eat. Like I literally.
But do you think I missed that?
Yeah, but this is how nervous I was.
Do you think I missed that though?
I don't. I know you saw it.
I did not miss it.
But this is how nervous I was that like I legitimately couldn't eat my food and I was hungry. I hadn't eaten that day, but I was just like, I was so in my head because I was about to like confess everything to you pretty much, right?
Sure.
So anyway, I don't even end up eating my food and we leave and I'm stuttering right now. Like I'm nervous about it again back in that moment.
Don't be silly.
But at the time I was thinking I was going to tell you in the restaurant. Mm-hmm. Like I had talked to my roommate about it before I left the house. I was like, okay, girl.
Had a game plan.
This was. See,
I already know. You're strategizing.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to, at the restaurant, we're going to eat our food and then he's going to have to get back to work. And I'm just going to say, hey, I need to know how you feel right now. Tell me. And during, in my planning session, this was going to be all be done at the restaurant.
Trying to dominate the situation once again.
So I was so nervous though, like it didn't happen. Exactly. And so we're leaving.
I saw you. You were studying. You weren't letting it out.
Yeah.
You had something to say, but you didn't say it. I was
right.
Like, okay, Jerry, she's got something to say to you here.
So then after that, you said, well, do you want to like take a walk?
Yeah.
And then we walked to that little garden.
I remember.
What garden is that?
It's actually like
it's a little like a triangle almost.
It's a garden of a church actually off of Hudson Street.
Yeah, but it's this beautiful garden and I love flowers. So I'm sitting in this garden, which was helpful to calm me down. So we sit down on this bench and I don't even remember how I started off, but I think I was like, look, Jerry, I really like you. Did I tell you I love you? I might have even said love. I don't remember.
You did actually.
Yeah. And I was like, look, Jerry, I love you. And I think something between us can really work.
Yeah.
And I don't see why it hasn't happened yet. Sure. And we've gotten to know each other very well at this point.
Yeah.
Do you want this or don't you?
Sure.
Is basically how I said it. And then
that's actually like verbatim, actually. It's actually verbatim. The fact that you know the words verbatim is
that's because that's how I would naturally even bring it up today.
Sure, yeah, verbatim, actually. Like that's exactly what you said, actually.
And then I think I just like what seemed, I don't know how long it took for you to answer from when I asked it. But as soon as I asked it,
I took a gulp.
Why are we sitting here in silence for 22 minutes?
Gulp. I was okay, like, listen, I love this woman, but I already know the vibe that she is on.
This is how I remember it. I remember you then saying, no, I don't want a relationship. I don't see that going there for me.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like I almost, after you said that, kind of blanked out and I don't remember anything that was said after that.
I remember what I said actually.
What did you say?
So basically when we were talking, I was saying to you that remember that time we were driving across the 59th Street Bridge. So we were driving across the 59th Street Bridge and I had like caught you in a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I caught you in the lie, you didn't know I caught it when I noticed that I caught you on the lie, I was like, well, Jerry, that means she's going to do whatever she wants to do to get whatever she wants to get because Tennesha moves on 1,000. And she's a smart girl. So at some point, you have to be conscious of that and realize, are you ready to deal with this bag of tricks or are you not ready for this bag of tricks? And because I don't like anybody to like run circles around me, I pace myself in terms of who I'll engage when I'll engage them. See what I'm saying?
So it was about the lie and also just moving in a very different way than you do in terms of like...
No, I saw you as like the ideal, right? So like ideally, if I were to get all my shit together, this is how I would move. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if I'm not there yet, then it's like, I'm almost like I'm being pulled to it instead of like me naturally getting there on my own volition. My own, like, I get there on my own. Like, I literally figured it out on my own. As a man, I stood up on my own 2 feet. Like, my woman didn't carry me type of shit.
So what you're saying, really, though, Jerry, is that you weren't ready for a woman like me at the time.
Oh, Tennesha, spot on. I was not ready for a
woman. Oh, my God. Say that again. No, I'm kidding.
Comedian. But you see what I'm saying, though? Like, it's just a reality. It's like I was being honest to myself in the moment, and I was just like, no, Jerry, she's way more detail-oriented than you right now. Either you're going to get dragged around by your heels, like she's going to be literally dragging you by your ear everywhere, or you figure your own shit out, and then after you settle yourself out, you'll figure life out.
So after we get done talking, I just start crying. Like, I remember. And I'm not a public crier.
No, we were in the car.
No,
I remember.
No, but I started crying before the car.
I remember that.
So
we got in
then
the
you
car,
offered me a ride.
7th Ave. I remember.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to make sure you understood, like, listen, Tennesha, it's not you. Nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with me. But, like, that's one of those lines you don't want to hear in that moment. You're putting yourself all the way out there, and I see, like, the love that you're exuding. I'm like, oh, listen, but I'm not ready for it because I'm not that guy yet. So it's going to break. That's why I think I gravitated to, like, you know, other women, because I was like, either they're more hood or they're more, like, aggressive. And I'm just like, okay.
I thought you didn't like aggressive. You said I was...
I do like aggressive, but it's like, but I want to be able to deal with the aggressive that I'm fucking picking up, right? Like, I want to make sure, like, I want to make sure that we move the same way, right? Because if we're moving as a unit, we're not supposed to move individually anymore. Like, we've consciously chosen to move as a team. And if we are, then we have to be on the same vibe.
I appreciate your honesty in that moment. Like, at the time, obviously, it hurt. Sure. You know, I was cut deep by it.
I'll never lie.
But I really appreciated your honesty because I needed to hear it to actually, number one, move on. But also, even if you had given me that, but it wasn't how you honestly felt, things would have crumbled and fallen apart. But it does take a lot to be honest in those moments. So I do appreciate that and still appreciate that.
A lot of people, they live the lie.
Exactly.
They say whatever is expedient or convenient for whatever reason they do it. I don't know. But you start to realize, like, well, you're not supposed to lie to yourself. So if you're lying to yourself, then you're ultimately, like, you're fucking up your own life because you know you're lying to yourself. So don't do what...
And you have to live with that every day. Other people don't. You do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't fucking lie to yourself, Dick. Be honest to yourself. And then, like, you'll always feel amazing. You know what I mean? Because you didn't lie to yourself.
Right.
You always told the truth.
So the rest of that story goes...
Here we go.
After I start crying in the park, then Jerry says, you know, do you want to... I can head home, or I'm going to head home. Do you want me to give you a ride home?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like, I'd like to cry. I'd like to cry in peace.
I was like, Tennesha, get in the car, bro. Like,
so stop
making this so dramatic. Like, it's okay. Like,
But I was like embarrassed. I was like, I don't even want to sit in the car with him right now. He just rejected me.
Why is she embarrassed? I'm like, we don't go back. Like, we never hung out before. I'm like, listen, you don't have to take it so, like, harshly. Because people move at different paces at different times.
Oh, that whole... Jerry, you don't even know what happened the rest of that weekend.
But you understand that, though, right?
I understand.
We move at different paces at different times. If I'm conscious of the fact that I'm not moving at your pace, and I'm consciously like, oh, Jerry, don't try to weasel your way in and make Tennesha do all the work. Either you get your shit together or you don't get your shit together. But
I know, like I said...
Don't let her carry all the weight. And if we get together where I was, even though it looked good on paper, in terms of, like... the things that people measure, internally it wasn't good.
Right.
So if it internally isn't good, and like I don't feel good internally, I know I'm not supposed to engage people that do feel good internally. And like you being from Minnesota coming to New York, there's a negative like I think like I can see the negativity in a lot of people in New York. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I grew up here. I see what people are dealing with. And because I see what they're dealing with, you coming from Minnesota, I'm like, Jerry, she has pure positive energy. She's not a New Yorker that's jaded or mad at the world. She doesn't have any gripes, any grudges. She probably has like zero enemies. Like, this girl is
At that point, I had no haters.
Yeah. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, are you going to engage this girl when you know you are not completely right yet? Or you just let her go upon her way? Because either you're bringing her down or she's bringing you up. And I realized my pull was probably stronger than your pull in terms of like, I would have pulled you down instead of you pulling me up.
Oh, no, but no pull is stronger than my pull. I'm kidding.
Allegedly.
So,
but I had to work on myself first is what I was trying to say.
And I'm glad that you recognized that in some way at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, the next couple of days especially were really hard. Like,
so tell me about them. We've never talked to them.
Well, so this is what happened. So after when we were driving in the car, and I wish I could remember what song it was that came on the radio, and the song just made me cry that much more because the song was
I'm so sorry,
essentially about somebody letting somebody go.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying like not to cry, but I just keep crying, and not just like, you know, a tear or two, like ugly cry, snot, just like bawling almost. Like I was silently going, but like silence. I was like,
let her rip.
And so and then it was a Friday afternoon, so there's all this traffic. You're driving to the 59th Street Bridge, and there's just traffic, and I'm just like, oh my God, how much longer can I be in this car with this man?
Guy.
I do not want to.
And I felt that vibe.
Yeah.
I was like, she's dying to get out of this car.
I was dying, and so
but
finally,
I almost was like keeping you hostage.
You were like, just get in the car.
I was.
Like jump out of a moving car.
I did it on purpose because I was thinking to myself, I was like, Jerry, because you're not on the level you need to be at, which means you can't really engage this relationship on that level. What's the alternative? You tell her bad news and then you dip on her? Pff, that's not cool. Because if I didn't give a shit about you, I would have just let you get on the train and go home and, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have wanted to stay with you a little bit longer. Be like, hey, listen, I know you're not understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing the right thing in the moment.
But why didn't you just tell me that in the moment? The way you're delivering it to me now.
Look how much I had to say to explain that to you.
I had time.
And you're assuming I was wise enough to even understand the words to have to spit it out, right? Like, you're giving me way too much credit.
Right.
Like, I've definitely grown and evolved a little bit. So, like, I actually can get my words together and figure out what the fuck I was trying to say to you and, like, why I was feeling like that and all of that stuff. But I don't think I had the words back then.
Which makes sense.
I could have never explained it this way.
You've
then.
Experienced a lot of growth since.
You see what I mean? So I didn't have the words to say this now. What I'm saying to you now, then.
That makes sense. I get it.
But it's how I felt. So it's like, it is, you know, the vibe didn't change. Like, I still felt the same, but I didn't have the words to say what I felt. But I knew what I was trying to, like, communicate in terms of, like, where I was and why I did what I did.
I'm glad that you're able to communicate it now, because I think it would have really helped to hear that explanation.
But that's why I stayed with you in the car. I was like, hey, stop acting like a weirdo. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's like, it's clearly me.
Well, I knew there was nothing wrong with me. I didn't know what was wrong with you, though. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah.
No, of course I took some of that very personally.
But I never told you, right? Because as like, you know, I see myself as like a hyper introverted kid, you know what I mean? So like, I don't really tell anybody what I'm thinking or my thoughts or whatever it is. So like, if I'm dealing something, I'm going through something, I don't ever say it out loud. I just keep it to myself. So even with you, I almost like kept my cards close to my chest all the time. And
I always felt that. Like, you were always a fun, outgoing sort of person, but I always thought there's something more here. There's something that I don't know. Not like you were hiding some deep, dark secret, but I just knew that there was more that, you know, you hadn't necessarily got to yet.
I understand.
So to finish the story off, the rest of that day, we're driving, we get to the 59th Street Bridge, and right before we get there, there's all this traffic to even get to the ramp to get on the bridge.
That's life. Like,
and then,
we're trapped in this car.
Right. Now. And so then
it's got to get as awkward as humanly possible.
So that song comes on, I'm crying more, and then I'm like, can you just let me out? Like, this is before we get on the bridge. I was like, can you just let me out? Please just let me out. He was like, no, don't get out. Don't get out. And I was like, I really just need to get out of the car. Like, and I'm like crying, right? Sure. And so I get out of the car, and at this point, I have no destination in mind.
I know that already. And I'm like, where are you going to go?
I just start walking.
In my head, I was like, Jerry, where is she going to go? She's just frustrated, and she wants to jump out the car, Don't let her. You really need to just keep her next to you and just let her calm
So
down.
I literally walked around Midtown Manhattan for at least 2 hours with no destination, just crying.
I already knew
just
that's what
crying,
you were gonna
just
do.
being the person that's walking down the street and people are looking at me like, "Ooh, why is that girl
But
crying?"
I already knew that.
I finally, after a while, got on the train and went home because I knew at this point, like, my roommate would be home. So I went home and I was just like, you can't believe what happened. He just said no. Like, no, he doesn't feel that way. And then I started watching this show, Enlightened, watched it like the whole weekend. Okay. And I stayed in that whole weekend just like on the, like as if I was actually sick. Like, I was just like, I can't move. Like, I can't get up. And I literally stayed there that whole weekend.
I'm thrilled that you think I'm that special. Like, personally, I think in my own, I was like, Joe, you're not that special to catch, bro. I was like, you're a piece of fucking work.
I really like you.
You're a piece of fucking, but I am a piece of fucking work.
You are a piece of work.
You have no clue.
I have some clues.
I'm a piece of work. And I was like, Tennesha has no clue. She thinks she has a clue, but I was like, I can see she has no clue.
I have some clues.
Some clues. Yeah.
So anyway, after that, I don't, we eventually ended up talking.
Sure.
But yeah, after that.
So how did we reconnect, actually? I don't remember.
I don't remember the exact way that, like, we reconnected or got together. But at some point, like, you sort of, like, we were having a friendship, it seemed like, where you could,
just
like,
hanging out.
Like, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. Like,
grab a drink, just have a chat.
Yeah, like, let me
five.
bring over some Thai food.
Yeah. Oh, so dope. Listen, and like, I always appreciated that about you.
Yeah,
so
we remained
It always felt
friends,
very authentic. It
but
was like, I'm like, oh, thank God she didn't like think I'm a fucking jerk. I was like, she doesn't understand.
I mean, it took me a while. I don't remember how long.
I'm like, she doesn't understand. That's why I was like, anytime, like, I always try to keep my distance. I know you're doing your thing. So it's like, I always tried to be like, I'd love to hang out and have a chat and like talk more, but I'm just like, I always kept my distance as, just out of respect and just whatever it is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, but it took me a while to like get to that point of like friendship with you, but we got there. And then, yeah, I guess like we've had our times where we've talked more and talked less and talked more and talked less. And we've both been.
It's a natural ebb and flow. I think.
Yeah, we've had a natural ebb and flow. But I think now we're at what I would say is like the best place in our friendship.
How so?
Because I think that we're helping each other grow in some ways. Big time. I think that right now the path that you're on is very similar to the one I'm on in terms of just like growth, self-development and understanding.
Yeah, sure.
And so when we reconnected like this, I don't think we maybe seen each other for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And then we reconnected and we went out to coffee.
Sure.
And you were just sharing like, that you're on sort of a new life path.
Oh, big time.
What?
But it's not even a new life path. So like, what clicked in my brain was like, you remember like The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho? Remember that book? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the thing that I took away from that book and was like, it clicked in my brain. And once it clicked once, I couldn't forget it. The whole premise of the book is basically like, this guy goes on a life journey, but he only becomes whole when he comes back to home where the treasure always was. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's like the natural kid that I am inside of me, that's the guy, like wherever you were the happiest in life, right? Your job is just to get back there. Remember how you felt and how you walked and how you talked and how you treated people and do that. So I think when you go out into a corporate like environment and shit, you kind of have to sell your soul a little bit. You know what I mean? You kind of have to be a little bit different than you were before when you were the happiest, carefree child. And like what clicked in my brain was like, no. I was like, I don't really want to let anybody affect how I used to be. But I think it's a really selfish thing. Like, you know what? I'm going to go all the way back down to being like a 13-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, right. And I don't care if I'm an adult now. I'm like, fuck that. Who gets to tell me how to move, how to walk, how to talk? Because I remember like the way we moved in the old neighborhood. Like,
I always say to Jerry, he always goes back to his old neighborhood. He hangs with his childhood friends.
No, but I realized I loved those kids and I loved those families and I loved everybody that I met while I was there. And I was like, Jerry, don't disconnect yourself from the people that made you feel the best. You know what I mean? Always remember like how they made you feel, not like how other people make you feel. It doesn't matter what they have.
Right.
Who makes you feel the best? I'm like, these people. So I was like, Jerry, go back. Just, drop your shoulders, chill out, have fun, like be nice to people, and like life will sort itself out. All the shit that you want will sort itself out eventually. But make sure you go back.
Right.
So I think that was the major message of like The Alchemist, like make sure you go back because that's where your treasure lies.
To the old neighborhood.
To the old neighborhood.
So what have these sorts of lessons taught you about dating? Has it changed the way that you date or the people that you date?
Oh, hugely. I think now I see with like, I think I took the rose-colored glasses off. Now I see clearly. I don't rush into things anymore. I make sure like, I analyze people a little bit deeper before I jump. You know what I mean? Instead of just like jumping into this and jumping into that, I'm like, hey Jay, how about you just ask some questions first? Like, how about you ask some poignant questions and figure people out and figure out whether or not this is viable or, it's going to work for you long term. And then if it is, it is. And if it isn't, it isn't. But you have to be honest to yourself when you ask the right questions.
What kind of questions are you asking?
Oh, I came across, tons of questions. You know me, I'm a mad nosy kid. I ask questions all day. But I came across this, there was a doctor, like, I think she, like, produced, like, 35 love questions. And basically what she was saying is, like, if you ask these 35 questions to somebody in the beginning of the relationship, and you guys are honest about these 35 questions, you'll build a love that lasts forever.
I believe it.
And, like, I read the questions, I was like, ooh, these are some fucking deep ones. Like they go.
What were some of the questions again?
Oh, let me see. So one was like, if you could have, dinner with anybody, alive, dead, past, present, who would it be and why? Mm-hmm. They'd ask you, when was the last time you cried, and what was it about? You know what I mean? It was like the questions like that. Like really, they're not bullshit. These questions go straight to the core of who you are. And if you ask the questions and you're honest with the answers, you have no choice to see the person honestly. And either you want to go forward or you don't want to go forward.
I love stuff like that. I believe in asking questions
really
up front. Like, why are we waiting? Like,
it's really awkward because like some of these questions are kind of like awkward. Like they're going to make you feel some type of, especially if you got some dark skeletons in your closet, like you're going to feel some type of way. There's no way around it. But what's the alternative? You don't ask the questions and you don't find out who you're talking to here? Because that's all we're doing. We're asking each other questions and we're figuring shit out as we go. But since time is the commodity, ask the question sooner.
Now, knowing what you know now,
sure.
Is there anything you wished you would have done differently in relationships in the past?
No. Well, what's crazy is like, I don't know if I have that choice, right? Because it's like I'm like like an amalgamation of like my mom, my dad, my sisters, the neighborhood I grew up with, everyone I've traveled to, everyone I've met and interacted with in this world. So I don't have a choice to be any different than I turned out. You see what I'm saying? Like this is how it was supposed to go because that's why I went this way because you took the actions that you took because you're being yourself. So there's no other alternative than just being myself. And like if I've always been myself, there's nothing lacking. You see, there couldn't be because I've been living authentically the whole time.
So what are your hopes for a relationship in the future? Like, do you want marriage? Do you want children? Do you want family?
I've been going back and forth on this topic for a while now. I think, because we all watch Disney movies, obviously. So everybody wants their Prince Charming and fucking Cinderella and all that shit. But it's like, part of me is starting to think like, okay, well, what if you didn't watch the Disney movies, Jerry? I was like, how do humans move naturally if there were nobody affecting us? And I was
we weren't being fed all these messages.
If you weren't being fed a narrative, how would you move naturally? Which way would you feel the best? And like, I keep coming back to like, just wanting to connect with people that I connect with and like let it be what it is and like see where it goes, not overthinking it. Because I think I've been such an overthinker in life. I'm like, oh, I'm doing the exact opposite now. Like it's like, have you seen that Seinfeld episode, The Opposite?
No.
Oh, it's a gem. So basically, he's like, everything that he's done in this world, he's like, he wish he would just have done the opposite. Because when he did the opposite, and he actually does this in the show, like he does the opposite, and like his life turns out amazing. Like he curses people out, and he just does what he wants, and he says whatever comes to his mind, and like people are like, wow, I respect this guy. He's being, you can't not like that guy. And when it clicks in their brain that you were being honest and you were giving them the shit that they needed to hear, guess what? When it clicks, I don't know when that's going to be, but they're gonna be like, that guy really told me the truth. He didn't sugarcoat shit. He didn't fucking make it palatable so that it felt good for me. Like he told me what I needed to hear.
Have you ever heard of Minnesota Nice?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so I grew up in Minnesota, and they have this thing called Minnesota Nice.
Okay.
And Minnesota Nice really means very nice to your face.
Yeah.
Or in a condescending manner.
Okay.
So they might be like, you might be like, oh, where's the ketchup? Well, the ketchup's over there on the table. Like,
Minnesota Nice.
Like,
Okay.
you're an idiot, but I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible.
I understand. It's condescending.
And it's, it is very condescending.
But think about what that's doing there, right? Because basically you're trying to say, like, you're not moving on the right speed because I caught something you didn't catch. Don't ever treat anybody like they're dumber than you or smarter than you or anything. We're just on different wavelengths. Mm-hmm. And you pick up shit when you pick up shit. Like, if you study it, you'll figure it out. And if you don't, you won't. But
I just thought about the fact that it's the same in relationships, right?
Sure.
So there's not any right person or wrong person. Sure. It's just we're at different places right now.
I agree.
You know, so people have this habit of when they let go of somebody or somebody lets go of them, mm-hmm. they automatically become, well, that person did this wrong and they're bad. And it doesn't have to be that. It could really just be you're at different places.
Oh, but listen to this. Like, you know, what's actually really funny about that is anytime you utter anything negative out of your mouth, you're actually talking about something that's wrong with you.
It's more of a reflection of you than the person you're talking about.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you wouldn't have had that thought unless it resonated within you to begin with. Mm-hmm. So, like, people that say things that cut other people down to size, I'm like, no. That's how you feel, Dick.
Yeah.
That's how you feel. And that's why you're trying to put it on someone else so you can get it off of yourself. I'm like, no. But that's how you feel.
We forgot our earlier question.
What were we talking about?
Marriage, children.
Oh, marriage. Oh, yeah. You're right. Marriage, children. So, yeah.
Do you want them?
No. I love kids. I love kids. So, yeah. If I were to have my way, I'd have like 50 kids.
All right,
I'd literally populate the earth. Like, I'd be like, fuck it. You know what? No rules. I'll do what I want to do. I want to populate the fucking earth. But I was like, okay, Jerry, that's not a very respectable lifestyle. I was like, you're going to get some shit here. I was like, you got to tone it down, kid. So I think, yeah, I do want a proper life.
You want kids. Do you want marriage?
You know, I think with the last relationship, I had set my sights on marriage so intently.
That was the person you were going to marry?
Yeah. And I think because I fucked it up and, like, I didn't do the right things at the right time and I shit the bed, right? So, like, I fucked it all up. So because I know that, I'm like, well, Jerry, is this marriage thing really for you? Do you really want to do that? Look how much energy you put into trying to get married and find your Cinderella. I'm like, how about I just do what makes me happy and, like, let the chips fall where they may. You see what I'm saying? Like, not trying to, like, dictate the reality, not trying to control what happens in the future, just doing what makes me feel good. I'm like, Jerry, you like motorcycles? Go get a motorcycle. Ride your motorcycle. And, like, when I'm living my authentic life, whoever's supposed to be there next to me will be there next to me.
Can I ask you something that I think would be very helpful for the men? Sure. Often on the show, I get women that will talk about how they're dealing with a breakup or a situation that's disappointing.
Sure.
For you as a man, how it sounds like, you know, you're dealing with your last relationship.
Now?
Yeah. You still feel?
No. Of course. Of course, I still feel because I still, like, I think, I still have an apologetic nature within myself, and I know, like, when I've made a mistake, and I'm like, oh, Jerry, you made a mistake.
So how did you deal with that breakup? Like, like I said, I spent the weekend on my couch, watching Enlightened and not getting up.
I went completely down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? I think that's why, like, meditation was key for me. I was like, wow, meditation, Jerry, is literally the savior to your debauchery. Literally. So for me, I just, smoked, drank, did whatever I wanted to do. I just act like a wild child, do whatever feels good in the moment and not think so much about the past. Because what's the alternative? I reflect and, like, I harp on the past all the time. It's like, that's unproductive and, like, it's unbecoming, because it's like, who are you becoming as a result?
Yeah.
Not somebody that you want to be. But it's like, I can't unthink of the things that I did wrong, right? I'm like, Have
you forgiven yourself for whatever you think you did wrong?
Yes and no. I think the thing that bothered me the most was, like, the fact that it was like I saw a lot of my father's tendencies being exuded within me, and especially the worst sides of him. That I consciously was like, I'm not going to be like that. And then I was like that. And I was like, Jerry, you said you were never going to be like that. But look who you became. Like that.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's like, once you see certain behaviors, it's hard to not like have that as part of your subconscious programming.
So how are you going to go about forgiving yourself? Because you kind of have to truly.
Oh no, of course,
move on from
Listen, of course, my dear, I know that. I think for me, it's like forgiveness is going to come over time. Like I think it's like I'm giving myself the time and the gravitas of the situation of what I did and what went wrong, and like if I don't take the time to acknowledge it and like let it really marinate within my own head, then I may make the same mistake again. But because I know it's such an egregious mistake, I won't make it again because I'm actually taking the time to think about it. You see what I'm saying?
Are you dating right now?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Really?
Yeah, not at all.
When's the last time you dated?
It's been a little bit. Let me think. No, like right now, I'm just not even trying to date. I think for me, it's like I told you, like I'm just perfecting my version of myself. So like I'm not worried about dating. Like, listen, okay, I'll say this much. I put so much energy into just like dating.
Oh yeah, you
like,
used to.
Yeah. But I was like, Jerry, how about we not date? Just for a little stint and worry about you and what you want to do long term for the future. And like if I can get
How
myself...
has that felt for you?
Oh my God, amazing. Life-changing. Because I don't think I've ever given myself the time to just be by myself. And I was like, Jerry, you actually like hanging out with yourself. Like I said, me finding that really helped me like find my own center, find my own balance, and like really be able to connect with my higher thoughts instead of like the negative thoughts that I think typically perpetuate my mind.
So when I first met you, it was 2013.
Okay.
So 6 years ago. If you could tell that Jerry anything now, what would you tell him in terms of life, advice, etc.?
Forget about it. Like we can go all day with that.
Tell me the three things you would.
The three things I would tell that Jerry.
So you were what do we say, 33-year-old Jerry at the time?
Yeah, I would say
because you're now 39. So what would 33?
Okay,
what would you tell 33-year-old Jerry?
I would drop some gems on him. I'd say, listen, at the end of the day, we're all gonna die. I think with my dad's passing, that clicked in my brain hardcore. I was like,
it's been what, a year and a half now?
Year and a half, give or take, yeah. And I think the thing that the big takeaway I took was like, Jerry, we're all gonna die. Why not live life as if like you're gonna die tomorrow, and have fun, like real fun, like really like call the people that you love and like go dancing every day, and like if you don't have a drink, you don't have a smoke, do it. If you want to like travel the world, do it. The 15 years I worked in the hedge fund industry, even though I made the money, I didn't really like to be there. You see what I mean? So
I've been there.
So what if I would have taken that time and did what I really wanted to do? What really made me happy? I don't know where I'd be right now. I'd be in a different place for sure.
Because when you do that, everything else does truly line up.
Exactly.
So it's like, well, we're trying to line things up by saying, okay, if I do this, and this, and this, I'll be this. Versus if you just said, if I just got to know myself and figured out what made me happy,
and I think
everything else would fall into place.
You're spot on. And I think for me, it was like, I saw my dad's discipline. Like he was regimented, like military regimented. Like he woke up at the same time. He did the same thing every day. And like, he's a black belt in karate and judo. And like, he plays the piano, like classically trained. I'm like, oh, Jerry, this guy is not a slacker, bro. So I almost can't be a slacker because my father's not a slacker. You know what I mean? Right. I have no choice. And I know he's watching me. He's got a sharp fucking eye. If he can play the piano, he's not stupid. He's watching every move I make, and he's criticizing every move I make. And in the moment while I was hating it, because I hate to be criticized, I appreciated it because he gave me a different perspective. You understand?
Is there anything you wish your dad knew now about you?
Oh, tons of stuff. My dad really never got to know the real me. Because I think there was always like an inner feud between me and him. Like it was constant battle. He's telling me what to do. I'm like, I'll do what I want to do. I was like, you don't tell me what to do. I was like,
I'm a man in here too.
I'm a man in here too. I do what I want to do. Yeah. So yeah, I think that constant battle, like I wish I would have let him win instead of like puffing my chest out all the time so that like I didn't feel like I was getting like told what to do type of thing. If I could change anything, I'd change that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Don't be silly. I told you, we're going to have this conversation.
So one of the things that I normally ask people is,
oh shit,
what's next for you? But
Sure.
recently, I actually don't feel like that's an appropriate question anymore.
Why?
Because I realized that I didn't like it when people asked me. It was so. What's going on? Are you? What's going on with your? What's next with your
But does it
job?
matter? Does
what's
it
next
matter?
with your? What's next with your
Exactly.
family? What's next with your
But that's
boyfriend?
how-
What's
but
next?
I
I think we've
believe
become.
that's how we're programmed.
We're programmed
to
and
think about
we're
next,
obsessed with it. And no matter,
Like, hey, what about right now? Just hang out, just chill. Like you
Yeah.
can do next. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere. Next isn't going anywhere.
we're very programmed, and we believe that no matter how successful you've gotten, there always has to be a
next.
So what's next? So what's next? So it's like
And once-
I'm president of the world. What's next?
And I think it was like for me, it was literally akin to like stepping off the hamster wheel. Like I shit you not, man. When I left like the position at hedge fund, I mean like Debtwire, literally for me it was like I felt like I was stepping out of the matrix. I was like, Jerry, you didn't want to be there. Even though you love the people and you love like how much you're learning. Deep down inside, you just want to like go get a DJ set, DJ, play some music, make people laugh, and chill. That's what you want to do. So go do that. And I don't know how that's going to come together, but I know when it comes together, it'll be right. Like, it'll be the way it should have been, the way I would have done it naturally. Because it's like, I still have the classically trained pianist kind of guy in me or in my ear. So it's like, if I were to do it, I'd do it in a way that felt authentic.
Good.
Yeah.
So much growth, Jerry. So the question I was going to ask you instead of what's next is, are you happy?
Oh, hugely happy. You already see the smile on my face, ear to ear, all the time, every day. Because what's the alternative? Not being happy? Makes no sense. The math doesn't add up.
I'm very proud of your calmness, Jerry. You not that you were ever not calm. Like you were never the guy that's just like, ah.
Oh, no. I've definitely like worked on this. Like,
right. But yeah, you
this,
just have a very
this
calm.
Is not an accident. Like I literally was like, Jerry, you've been wilding out here. I was like, how about we sit down in a corner for a little bit and get your shit together? How about you learn how to breathe and meditate and center yourself and stop being a fucking douchebag? You know what I mean? Because it's like, what am I going to do? Walk through this life like somebody that's inauthentic to the family that I grew up around?
Right.
So that means my sisters are like this. They're very calm. My parents are very calm. So I'm like, that's why the Paulo Coelho like reference was like so important to me, because I was like, Jerry, you're just going back home. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
You're going back to yourself. So that's why I was like, it was really important for me to just go full circle and like let all of the outside things in this world that have affected me and changed me in some type of way not dictate my day-to-day and how I live and how I feel. I'm like, I still want to feel like the little kid that's chilling and hanging out and kicking his feet up. Like, I'm not going to lose that vibe.
You're getting back to you.
Yeah, getting back to me. And it feels good.
I like it. I like what I'm seeing. You never did answer the question. Do you want to get married? Yes or no? Is that an intention and desire of yours?
You know what's crazy? I do actually. So it's going to be one of two options. Either I get married and I have like a beautiful wife and kids and family, house, car, all that stuff, and like chill. Or I become completely debaucherous. I just start traveling the world on a motorcycle and just like spread my seat as far and wide as I can. Literally, those are the two options.
Either way, I'm going to populate the world in some way.
Either way, it's either I'm going to populate the world or I'm going to fucking have a girlfriend and a wife and all that shit that I love. I don't know yet. I don't have that answer yet.
I've wanted you on this podcast since the podcast started.
Yeah.
And it was because you really did this conversation.
I already knew this conversation.
And you did teach. You know why I share the story so much on the podcast? Because I think that there's a couple different lessons in it. And I realized that without you, I wouldn't have learned some of these lessons.
Oh, me as well.
But like,
me as well. I learned, literally don't think I didn't learn from you as well, right?
Yeah. But the big lesson.
Like I said, you because remember I told you, my dad's super disciplined. So like I see the discipline when I see it in other people as well.
Right.
I'm like, Jerry, Tennesha's more disciplined than you. You're going for runs in the morning. You're drinking protein shakes. I'm like, I'm trying to sit on the couch and do nothing. I was like, Jerry, don't engage Tennesha. Leave Tennesha.
She will make you get up at 6 a.m.
She will make you get up. The blender's going to be going off. I was like, I already know. I was like, no.
Well, thank you so much again. And I'm so glad we did it. And yeah,
to be honest, I already knew it was going to go this way.
Yeah, it's been years in the making.
I already envisioned this conversation. I've been terrified of having it, but I already knew it was going to go this way. So I'm so glad to reconnect with you.
Yes, thank you. And you guys, please reach out to me and let me know what you think of tonight's show at Tennesha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.